And here we are back finally with another episode of the HUI podcast. And there has been a lot of shit that has gone down.
A lot of shit
since
talking.
the last show.
A lot of shit talking or just a lot of shit?
Both. Okay. Yeah, I found an entire series of Reddit columns that my friends sent me I didn't even know existed.
That's what happens when you start doing big stuff. People are out. When people see success, it's like they don't want it. There's always like a villain that is like, no, we're out to prove them wrong. People find purpose in it.
Well, Alex Ramosa says it perfectly. Said that people will cheer you on to be successful, and once you're successful, will do everything they can to tear you down.
Yeah, they don't like that.
No, it's the same thing you look at with sports. It's like we want you to be a champion, and then when you're a champion, we want you to lose your title.
Really?
Yeah.
Because why? It makes it more interesting?
It's because people are losers. And this is how losers live. You know who real people are that are truly successful in marriage, business, or life and you know who your closest real friends are and associates because when you win, they cheer and celebrate your victory with you and they want you to win more. Mm-hmm. But you find out real fast who all the bullshit artists are and who were never really close and why there's so much betrayal for everyone as you grow and rise is because you find out real quickly who are the covert fucking assholes.
I think though too, it's like once you surpass somebody, it almost like questions their box or their beliefs. So they're like, how dare you question me? How dare you want to have more success than me? Because it's actually really calling them out to rise.
For sure.
It's calling them to have more success. And so they get kind of triggered. So then they almost find more purpose in kind of buying into the shit talking and things like that because it justifies them staying with where they're at.
So I remember back in the day when I would be at events watching speakers like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm better than those guys. Mm-hmm. They don't deserve to be up there. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward 20 years later, we just did Man Arena. We had 1,300 people live. We launched it and deployed it in 100 days. Mm-hmm. Had 2,000 tickets to it. People are talking shit because I said 7,000. I said that was my target. We didn't hit the target, but we did hit 1,300 guys in the room, all black and wearing Man Arena gear like I'm rocking right now. And there's less power. There's 1,000 people who can speak powerfully.
You said 7,000. Maybe that was 7,000. Maybe it was. It'll get there. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like there's 1,000 people who can speak. Mm-hmm. There's very few who can build stages.
Right.
So people are coming to me out of the woodwork to be part of the event. They're like, dude, I can speak and I could value us. I appreciate that you can do that. Here's what I can do. I can build arenas.
Yeah.
So I don't need
any
more speakers.
Yeah.
Although we had 19 speakers.
Yeah, a lot of speakers.
It was a powerful event. Mm-hmm. You were there.
I thought it went. Here's the thing. We've both done large events. In my experience, like the first time you do an event, like you're kind of like it's new territory. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it went really, really well.
Yep.
Like I thought for this being the first one, and what's cool is like once you do an event, you're kind of like, okay, I like this, I didn't like this. Okay, this worked, this didn't. The people in the audience, they don't know any different. They're just like, that's awesome. But that's why I think it's even you can go to an event and then you can like revisit that event like 2 years later, and you can be like, wow, they changed it. It's totally different. Think about the 10X conferences, how they started. Mm-hmm. People were pitching and selling, and then it came down to like just bringing in value speakers and things like that. So it's like you have to look at the event as what gives the most value and what's going to work.
Well, and it also comes down to one big thing, which is who has the biggest balls to test something.
Yeah, not very many people do.
We got people like, I'm going to test a workshop at my office with 5 people, and we're going to plan it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Me and Dan Fleischman were like, yeah, let's just get an arena and let's fucking fill it up.
Yeah.
And let's test $800,000 and see if it works.
Yeah.
And it worked. Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, cool. So it's fun because like in things like this, people think, oh, you're trying to make money. I was like, not out of the gate.
Yeah,
on
that's
any
what people
campaign,
understand.
any event, everything, you're trying to break even. That's it. Can we break even on our costs to run the event? If we made some money, that'd be nice. But the real issue is, can we just pay all our bills and not have to come out of pocket for money?
Right.
Which we did. And so you're like, okay, win, victory, which launched up our second one, which will be happening in Miami at the Miami Arena, coming up here in the next 100 days. Mm-hmm. Either end of August, 1st of September. I know you're pushing for 1st of September after our anniversary. So we're going to work it. It's either going to be right before or right after our anniversary.
I think what people don't understand about big events is like, yeah, there's like this element where you break even, but it's about exposure. Even with my hair brand, when we started doing bigger events, that's what kind of like blew past everybody because it was just like, whoa, who are these guys doing hair events with 300 to 500 students? That's a lot in the hair industry.
Yep.
Nobody is doing that. Everyone was doing, like their 10, 20, 30 person classes. And so it like, I think even if you break even, the exposure that it brings your other businesses revenue.
Oh, the exposure is bigger than just like instant revenue. Like if you look at life insurance companies are happy to make money a year and a half to 2 years into a contract. They give away almost all their commissions on the first year to their wholesaling agent. Like whoever the person that brought the contract, they give them almost, that's 100, 120, 130% of contract value goes back to the insurance agent who brought the deal. The insurance company knows what the lifetime value of that client, which is once they implement a life insurance policy, just like cell phone providers. So whether they're willing to give you free cell phones and finance your new iPhone or do all that, because they know that once you stick with your iPhone, your cell provider, you're not going to change over time. So they have long-term vision for economic progress,
right?
Which is what you have to have. That's why people are trying to like do events or do different things or participate in certain activities, and they want to make money now. And I'm like, well, you can, but that's not how big money's made.
Right.
Like we ran Warrior Week 75 times. 4-day boot camp 75 times.
You had 75 Warrior Weeks?
75 Warrior Weeks. 4-day boot camps. We were running boot camps every 2 to 3 weeks from 2012, and they still happen every quarter now. Sam Falsaffi runs them. Every single month.
But those aren't your events.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
My event stopped with Warrior Week back in 2019. And then I sold the brand to Sam, and he took it. But we were running events, and every event would get better. Every experience would get better. We would just improve small things. It's already like 100 things we're going to improve for the next event. That'll make it even better than that. But that's you and me.
That's me and you?
Yeah.
What event?
We're basically Man Arena.
Who, me and you?
One big ass test.
I'm confused. Me and you are a man in the arena?
You and I are a man in the arena test, meaning we decided to get married and have children and be entrepreneurs.
That's true.
It's a fucking test every year
to
year. Figure out improvements every year. Our year now, way better than 5 years ago.
But what is the man in the arena? Like, how would you define the man in the arena? Is it essentially warrior, body, being, balance, and business? Like, what does it mean? Like, I think that oftentimes people have success in one area and they lack success in another area. So is this your main purpose and goal in building man in the arena? Is to essentially teach men how to have it all?
I love this. It feels like I just got on a TV station. You're just interviewing me like a voice model. Hi, welcome to KTLA. My name's Danielle K. White. I'll be your host. Can I ask you, so tell us more about this man in arena. What is it all about?
You don't want to answer?
I do want to answer. I just want to validate your skills. You have a career in this.
Thank you.
You're getting good on that Danielle K. White show. Starting to become an interviewer.
Just I'm interviewing you about man in the arena. Let's hear it.
We've come a long way from the podcasting.
What is man in the arena? Tell us. Where do you see it in the next 5 years?
Sounds like the woman that interviewed Grant Cardone just a few days ago about being governor of California. She's a professional.
Yeah.
You sound like a professional now.
Thanks.
You've come a long way from 2018.
I actually tell people all the time, they're like
you've come a long
I tell
way.
people all the time, I'm like, podcasting is probably one of the biggest things that helped me with my communication. I'm like, because it's just reps and speaking on camera.
Yeah.
And podcasts, you don't edit. You're not like, oh shit, I messed that up. Can you edit that out? You just roll with it.
You could technically edit it out.
You could, but I don't like if you're that person that gets on a podcast and you have to edit 10 things out, you're like, oh, you're a shitty podcaster.
Yeah. Well, you just don't have the ability to ask questions. You don't have the ability to answer.
Right.
We're playing tennis right now. Would you like me to answer your question now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. First, in validating your skills have improved radically since 2018.
Thanks.
In 2018, they said I overtalked over you. You never said anything, and I was a dick.
Yeah.
That's what they said about the show.
Yeah, it was kind of there.
But what we also knew at the time was you had a hard time even speaking. Like you were a really good talker off camera with me, and always have been, but it wasn't like something publicly. Now people see this version of you now, and they're like, dude, your wife's a killer. You came on stage to do the secondary close at Man in the Arena with me. You're the only woman on stage.
You know what's interesting? That when I see people that get on camera for like, they're new at it, they use a lot of like filler words. And I probably do the same, but it drove me nuts. And so what people don't understand is speaking, podcasting, public speaking, like it's a skill. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I like to look at something and be like, how do I get better? So that was like, for me, I hated that I sounded dumb on camera with these filler words because I was like, I don't feel dumb. So I'm like, how do you get better? You just put yourself out there and you keep doing it. The other thing that I realized too is I was like, as a hairstylist, I've always been an interviewer.
Yeah.
Like, I think I felt out of place this last year because I had some big names on my podcast. I went from like totally transforming my podcast to like inviting no guests to having, like some pretty big names. I was like, shit, I got some pretty big people on my podcast. And for me, it was just like, okay, well, you can't get good at something unless you have reps. And so I felt like doing the podcast really helped me get better at communicating and speaking.
You're great.
But
you're great. No, you're elite.
But it's
you're
not.
Like, you're in that top percentile right now. No
good.
Bullshit. I wouldn't put you on my stage in front of all those guys and have you blast the clothes with me.
Blast the clothes.
I'd have you come out there and stand there, be hot and cute. Go, this is my hot and cute wife.
I think we need to say, I liked it, but I want to set it up a little bit better next time.
Yeah, well, I was teeing you up some softballs.
Yeah.
You like this strategy though, and you're gonna get to the place where you just fucking slam.
Well, here's the thing: I'm not the person that like memorizes something, and I'm not gonna be a keynote speaker that's like, I've got my speech every single time. I think those are lame. So for me, I'm like, I just need to know a frame, and I believe that every good speaker should not be able to just memorize, but they should be able to channel. You have to be able to read the room, the audience, and so for me, I'm like, okay, if I kind of know the messaging that you want me to speak about, I would rather lean into God to have him pour through me what I'm supposed to say. And I think it's like, I have to do my part. If God's supposed to pour through me and I'm supposed to be a good communicator, then I have to have reps so that when he communicates through me, it makes sense. It sounds good. It's delivering his message. So I like, for me, when I get on stage, I don't like to have scripts, but I do like to have frames. I'm like, where are we going with this? Cool. Now I can channel.
That's what I do with all the speakers, and half of them were shitting their pants.
Yeah.
I required at this event, I said, you do not get any opening videos. We're not going to play any music when you come on stage, and you don't get to have any PowerPoints or keynotes. You don't get to pitch any of your shit. You get an opportunity to experience something magical, which is you have to be in the event room the whole day.
Yeah.
We start off in the morning with all the guys praying. The night before we had the VIP party, all the speakers got to connect with 120 of our VIP guests. And then during the event, I had their names on cards. All their names, 19 names. Including the little boy who's the Mandarin, who's 8 years old. All of them on cards, sitting in my back pocket. I went from being Tom Brady to Bill Belichick, which is head coach of the Patriots, starting quarterback of the Patriots.
That PE degree, it really...
Fucking such a payoff. Highest paid goddamn PE teacher in the world. That's what I was doing. I was PE teaching like 1,300 dudes. I was coaching 1,300 dudes, plus I was coaching backstage of speakers. And I made them all were black, one. And I said, two, here's the deal. You don't get to prepare your message. You get to be ready when I call you in.
Right.
Which means I'd be sitting there, the event would be going, I'd have a moment, I'd like, okay, I need these two people. I'd pull the cards out, hand them to Anna. Anna would go get Dan and then would go get the speakers, and they'd have less than 5 minutes to be ready. I said, you're going to speak fire based upon where the room's at. Not your pre-scripted idea. You created a PowerPoint for me last week, and then you show up trying to jack up my event by putting your dumb idea into the middle of the event that has no relevance whatsoever. No, bad. I want you in flow. So what you were talking about was in flow. Only difference was I didn't ask him questions. I just said, go.
Right. You just want me to go?
I want you to go next time.
I can go. I mean,
I know you could go. I thought you were going to go.
Yeah,
I
would have, that's fine. I mean, when I've spoken at ClickFunnels, I've spoken like a little bit longer, and I have like a concept of what I want to share. But I mean, it's a men's event, so I wasn't sure how long you wanted me to speak for.
As long as you want to go, babe.
Okay. Give me a, next time, just give me like, even if it's like the morning of the night before, be like, this is the energy, this is the messaging I want you to prepare. And then I'm like, okay. Then I have just like a few.
I gave you the energy. Remember? Here's what it is. We're going to practice right here on the show. Ready? I said, I want you to pretend like they are all your husband. Speak to them as if you're their wife. Don't speak to them as my wife. Speak to them as if you're their wife, speaking to them and saying to them what you wish you could have said to me years ago.
But what space are they in?
You saw
so
them.
It's like
they
an
were
old
in the
version.
Event, getting their ass kicked for like 5 hours right before lunch. They went to the dark pit. They dealt with their dark shit. We had dudes sharing stuff, men crying, men yelling, men screaming, men pounding chests. It was a fucking emotional roller coaster of greatness. Dudes, by the time we got up there, were like ready for the speech from the wife.
The speech from the wife. All right.
So let's practice it right here. Let's do speech from the wife right here.
That's a lot of pressure.
Hey, you just told me that you're the queen of channel and of the divine power of godliness. Let's go.
If I'm speaking to the men,
Pretend like every
but
man
is it
listening
me
to-
now or me then? Because me back then was really resentful and I didn't know how to communicate to you. And so I think I made it worse by kind of building up a wall or taking jabs. And so these men are kind of in this space where they're like, I'm trying to show up, but my wife's jabbing me. And you're like, yeah, because you're not producing or you're unconscious or you're in a space where like you're not connected or whatever. So I think if I were to speak to these men, I would almost want to empower them. I know that men need validation and praise and they can't move without that. And I would say early version of Danielle didn't realize that even though like you weren't producing, how I was reacting to you was not helping the situation for me or for the family. So I would almost be encouraging to the men that like, hey, you showed up. You're here.
Do you think that a woman, if her husband's not producing, she should withhold sex? Jab his ass with like, fuck you, you need to get your shit together. You're not getting any pussy.
That's weird. It's kind of a balance.
Well, I'm just saying this shit is what happens.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't
That's what
help.
you did to me.
It doesn't help. I think
Clearly it doesn't help.
Well, it's not even that. Like I felt like, here's how I felt in the beginning when we were like in our trauma.
Yeah.
I felt like it wasn't just about you not producing. I felt like you were not emotionally showing up for my needs. So it went both ways. There was no respect or validation for me, taking care of the kids, doing my part, trying to bust my ass, building my brand or anything. So I had a lot of resentment in the sense that like, I'm like, hey, I'm working my ass off. Plus I'm being the mom. And what's interesting for women is men can go to work and they can unplug. They literally don't think about it. Women, we go to work and we're like, it's 2:00. Okay. The kid's getting out of school. Like we don't ever stop thinking about our kids ever.
I walk out that door. I don't think.
I know.
one
And so
second
men
about
have
it.
the ability to unplug. So for me,
It's a skill.
It's,
You wanna learn
no,
it?
I honestly,
I'm gonna teach you how to do it.
I think it's a difference between a mom it's the difference between a guy and a girl.
That's 'cause
A
you
mom
carried the
can't
baby.
unplug. I know. There is this bond where literally I could be in the middle of like a super busy day when I owned my salon doing hair and I'd be like, it's like mom brain is like, oh, it's 2:00. Da, da, da. You know, like text the nanny. Did you get Ruby? Okay, perfect. Like
Yeah.
we can't fully unplug. Even when we're on vacation, I'm better at it, but I'll be like, hey, I know the kids just got up. I want to check in. Like I know their routine and I'm constantly checking in on them. I ask any woman, I don't care if she's a professional woman, works, doesn't work. It's inherent in our DNA that we cannot turn it off. It's mom brain.
Is that all women?
Amber, have you ever talked to a woman who's like, yeah, I
Amber
totally
here.
forgot about my kids? Actually, one time I felt so bad. It was like when Bailey was really, really little and I forgot it was like early day out and they called me like, your daughter was crying on the playground. We found her by herself. And I was like, every mom has that moment. You're like, oh my God, I'm the worst mom alive. My 6-year-old thinks she was abandoned.
Dude, so like in the spirit of dudes forgetting, one of my guys got a call from, so I have a bunch of trainers in my world, and one of our trainers was connecting with this group, and in that group, they were told about a guy who ended up coaching with one of my other trainers, Chad. He came to his house to help this guy, young, late 30s. Mm-hmm. They had moved, and he was in his job. They had moved, and they had a typical schedule where mom and dad, like she would take the kids and drop them off at school, and then she would go to work. He was going to his work. He worked like 14-hour days, 12-hour days. And then he would pick the kids up. So she would drop them off. He would pick them up. They're kind of rotating schedules. So one morning she had a change up and she had him go drop them off. And they had a baby that was like 9 months to a year old. And then had a little toddler that was like 3 or 4. So he goes to school, drops the kids off, and then goes to work. He's in New Orleans, middle of the summer, 100 degrees, humid, hot as shit. Goes to work all day in the factory. And then comes back out, goes to pick the kids up at the daycare and gets to the daycare, picks the toddler up, and then goes over to pick up the other child. And they're like, that no one, like, he didn't come today. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, he didn't come today.
The baby? How would he not notice the baby?
Now comes the heavy dark part. It then hits him.
He left the baby in the car all day?
Baby died.
But how would he not see the baby?
He literally forgot about the baby.
His
Big pickup truck.
Oh, and it was in the back?
Yep. And the little toddler was up front. Maybe she had dropped the toddler off, and so he was going to... Something had happened.
Where he just
and
totally
he
forgot the
literally
baby was in
forgot.
the car.
He completely forgot. And the baby literally cooked alive in the car. And like he was so fucking wrecked,
Yeah.
this guy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he came to one of my trainers, Chad's house, and sat with him for like 3 hours. And Chad was related with him because his grandson had been murdered by his daughter's boyfriend, like literally shaken and slammed on the floor.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Chad, one of my coaches, his granddaughter was murdered by the father of the child. And then his daughter was so destroyed by the whole situation that she got herself completely drunk and lit and drove 150 miles an hour into a concrete wall.
Oh, geez. All in the same time period?
So he was connecting with this guy, trying to help him find his path through because his father was suicidal. I mean, I just can't imagine. So it's like, I'm saying in the spirit, I know it's a really dark example, but like dudes just, when we get into like go mode, it's hard to be in anything but go mode. So there's a natural, I don't think, if dudes thought about their kids all day long, the way that women do, they don't want shit get done. I mean, it would, like, it'd be different. You couldn't do it. I think you couldn't even do it because you couldn't go to war, like soldiers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think men and women are built differently that way. Like us women, like it's very hard for us to turn off. Like I said, I could be in the middle of a presentation, a super busy class, like anything, and I'm like, oh, it's 2:30. Like it's like it's dialed in. It's like it's in there.
Yeah.
I don't have to set an alarm. I just know. I'm like, oh, it's this time. She should be picked up. Like it's just kind of how our brains are wired.
Yeah. So it was interesting at the event at Man of the Arena. So we had Mason Kane, who runs a porn recovery program called Unchained. So he's been running that for the last like 3 or 4 years, 5 years. He'd been sexually abused as a boy, went through a whole bunch of porn addiction himself, overcame porn addiction, sex addiction, and then built this program to help other dudes. And they're blowing up. They're getting there's so many dudes. So he has that. There's 1,300 guys there. He says every dude stand up who's been. He shared his sexual abuse story, and they said any man in the room who's been. And by this time, everybody's very honest. Like we fucking bored. The room was so open with each other. And says stand up if you were sexually abused as a young man. And there was about 70 guys stand up.
Wow.
And then he says, all right, I'm going to ask you a really hard question. Stand up if you actively are struggling with porn. Like 700 guys stand up.
Wow.
So here's where the question comes, because it's interesting because I asked him, I was talking to Mason about it. I was like, okay, so the porn addiction problem is a problem for sure. And it's young men are like, it's even worse for the young generation. But if you look inside of it, what is causing this? For example, if you and I are having sex frequently, I don't even think to go to porn. It's not even a thought that would register. It's not like I wake up and be like, wow, I just had amazing sex in my life last night. It's 12 o'clock. I should look at porn. Like it doesn't even register. But when I would go to porn mentally, and actually was when we were in long droughts of sexuality.
Also, to connection too, right? Because we would have who is our friend calls it pincushion sex, mercy
Whitney.
sex.
We got a new term for it. Ready?
What?
Duty booty.
Duty booty. Duty booty.
It's like chore sex.
Yeah.
Duty booty.
Duty booty. There's always a
We
name.
came up
Who
with that
came
on
up
Man
with
Arena.
that?
Oh shit, you got some duty booty,
Duty
bro?
booty.
Bad.
But that's what I'm saying. I can even imagine a guy who's maybe he's getting sex every other day, but it's duty booty. There's no connection there, so then he's probably thinking about the hot stripper in the porn. He's like, or maybe he's not like that attracted to his wife. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's like attraction, connection, but then there's like this still desire of like a hot porn star.
I don't think there's one person who's ever had sex in marriage and not thought about another person or some other image or something while having sex.
Right.
Can you admit this?
Yeah.
Of course, me too. So it's like, it's not like that would be abnormal to have those thoughts. But here was where the question came, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to back this up with some other interesting data.
Okay.
Some research we've been doing, because I'm trying to uncrack this code. I'm like, okay, what is the cause? It's like we talked about a few shows back a while back about all women in society wants to talk about men's reactivity by conveniently avoiding all women's activity that causes said reactivity. That's not the topic for today, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Every gentleman knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's a lack of accountability and ability to say sorry and take ownership for anything. And the minute a man tries to call a situation right now, all of a sudden she's recalling shit from 6 months ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and all of a sudden somehow reframes the whole goddamn thing, gaslights the shit out of you, and you're like, where the fuck am I? So then you're just like, I'm not going to say shit. I'm just going to stay right here, because if I keep saying shit, I'm not going to get laid tonight. So you just shut your mouth and smile and say, you're right.
It's very smart. Reactivity leads to less action.
If you just got rid of sex drive, the relationships would be totally different.
There's
'Cause dudes would
sometimes
be
like you're
dudes
reactive.
would just be like,
There's sometimes
I
you're
don't
reactive, and I'm like,
fucking
he's
care.
really gonna mess this up for himself tonight.
But what if it's actually a mess things up in a good way?
No, it never is. But what I do is I kind of don't want it to mess it up for me because it's not even about sex. I'm like, okay, I wanted to have a good time. It's date night, and now we didn't. We're going to wake up and be like, what the hell happened? Why did we get in that stupid argument? Blah, blah, blah. So for me, I'm like, it's not even like, oh, I got to get laid. I get to this point where I'm like, I'm not having this argument, and we are having sex tonight. So I'll kind of like either like end it, walk away, or try to make it funny, and then we end up, and then we're fine.
So here's the question.
Okay. But I'm saying I can sense reactivity, and instead of me being reactive back, I usually am like, no, he's being reactive. I said something that's obviously causing a trigger. I can be reactive back, and then neither of us win.
What if you just said sorry?
In the moment, why would I say sorry?
Because you're wrong.
No, like if you're reactive and you're yelling at me, I'm like, I'm sorry, you're so reactive.
That's the problem, though.
I'm sorry you're so angry about this.
That's a chick move, which is if a man speaks with directness to his wife, calling out a situation, immediately the woman goes
I say,
I don't like your tone. I'm not having this
conversation. I love when I say, stop yelling at me. And you're like, I'm not yelling at you. I don't know why you think this is yelling. God. I'm not yelling at you. I'm like, your voice just went up like 10 octaves.
10 octaves. You know what 10 octaves up is. Now you're exaggerating like a motherfucker. I did not. I get direct.
Yeah, that's you. I'm just direct. I'm like, wow.
It's when a woman is held accountable for her words. Women, as a general rule.
But we're not wrong, so why should we say sorry?
Exactly my case in point. This is why we just go back to 4 crayons and we're like, put your
well, that's when we're like, hey,
stop talking.
Exactly. And we're like, yeah, I'm not sorry, and you want to get laid, so stop being reactive.
It's a superpower. It's bullshit, but it's a superpower. Well, God bless you.
Hey, you win. You win in the end.
I do win in the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Thank you
twice,
for declaring
and
that.
occasionally 3 times.
What were you talking about?
So here's a question. If a woman primarily is after safety and security. So a dude marries. I saw your beautiful eyes at 18. You come through the door and you look at me and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, all I'm thinking about is this is the opportunity.
Okay.
As she is. This woman is the greatest. Then we go play volleyball. You're wearing a little green belly shirt with the short denim shorts. I must have done something right that day. With a belly pierce and your ear was all barred out with tons of earrings. And I was like, this fucking girl is insane. I didn't want you to be anything more than this or that. I was like, I want that. Yeah. That right there, that's what I want.
This? You wanted...
I was like, that, this. I just wanted that.
You want me to get my ear pierced, my bar?
Sure, do it again. I'm down.
Cut my hair all spiky?
Yes. Are you kidding me? I thought you got your nipples pierced. You tricked the shit out of me.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, well, I come in.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Jen, for the fake nipple pads.
Jen gives her the fake nipple pads. I come into the bedroom.
They're like stickies with nipple, like they look like you have your nipple pierced.
For the nipples, but they got a bar on them. So she's wearing a tight
tank top. She hands them to me. She goes, "I think you might have fun with these." I go, "Oh, he's getting pranked real good tonight."
I had all kinds of mixed emotions about it. I mean, I walked in, you're wearing a white tank top, and it's impossible not to see.
Yeah, they look real.
And you're smiling with your arm like ranged up against the wall, and my daughters are in the bed, and you're standing there. I'm like,
you were like excited and distraught at the same time.
No, I was trying to calculate. I was like, I was with her most of the day. When the hell did she go get her nipples pierced? How did she pull this off this afternoon? Did someone come to the house and pierce her nipples? That hurts getting my. Ooh, yeah, ooh, but they're kind of hot. It's turning on right now. I'm not sure how to feel about this whole thing. If she did it, that's great. If she didn't, how the fuck does she have nipple piercings in? So here's the thing. Back to the point. Thank you for the distraction. So I wanted that, but you looked at me as an opportunity for what value I could provide. Meaning you looked at me for who you thought I could become. I looked at for you who you were.
I also thought you were kind of, at the time when we met, I might have had like the crazy hair and like the bar piercing and the belly button piercing, but like I kind of felt the same way with you because, mind you, we were living in Orem, Utah. Like it's like
such a wild place.
No, it's like Mormon County for.
You can't even order a double tequila.
You can't. Well, it's a very tight bubble. So, anyways, I had just come out of like kind of a wild partying summer. Mind you, I'd never really partied before at all in high school, and randomly after I graduated, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna party every day. But I met you, and I was like, God, somebody who's normal. Like everybody down there was just like so plastic and fake and full of bullshit. I'm like, you're over there having sex with like 5 other girls, but you show up and you're in church and so I liked that you had kind of this bad boy look, but you were very real. So I think that to me, it was like bad boy, but it was also your authenticity. Like I was like, here, finally, somebody who shows up who's like, doesn't just want to get in my pants, but he actually wants to like connect and talk and communicate, and he's fun. So
I did want to get in your pants.
Well, yeah, I knew, but I
mean, it wasn't the only thing I wanted to do.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It was on the
I had
list
dated
of
guys
things.
where like that you were, it was very clear that was the agenda. And I was like, you're hot, but I can't even have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I get it.
So
here's the reason I bring this up. I think that the reason why most marriages are struggling with sex and struggling with passionate connection is because, hear me out, most married women do not actually love the man they're with. And they never have.
Ooh, maybe they just love the
Let
safety
me
and
finish the
security.
idea. They made a decision that is primal inside as a woman, which has existed from the beginning of time. Think about how it was like back in the Viking days, or how it was back.
I don't know how it was.
I watched a lot of movies and read a lot of shit, so I'll just tell you how it goes. They would invade a little city, would come into place, kill all the dudes, take the young boys as prisoners and slaves, kill the old dudes, and they would rape and take all the women. Meaning all the women immediately became the women of the new men. So like there's a natural order with this energy of protect your kids, particularly all the single moms now. They want to feel this primal connection, but will actually default to marry who's safe and secure and can guarantee providing protection and resource and security.
I hear you on that. However,
This is why they don't want to have sex with these guys.
Well, that might
Because they're
be
like, they're not actually attracted to the dude
that
they're
might
married
be
to.
true for some women, but not all. I will just tell you, like I was dating a kid in high school who was like, his grandpa was like one of the wealthiest people in the U.S. and everyone was like, would come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to be set for life. That's so exciting. And I remember thinking, I have no intention to marry him. Like, because in Utah, it's like you go on mission, you ask people to wait, and I almost was like, oh, like. This sounds bad, but I knew I wasn't going to be with him. I just knew I wasn't. I was like, I have no desire to marry him. And even if I would be set, people would say that. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to marry him. So that, although you're like saying, oh, this is inherently true, for me, it was not. I mean, if you think about it, I met you. What was safe and secure about you?
Everything.
If anything, you were the wild card. Like you were 25 years old, divorced, had a kid, and you had a $700 car, piece of shit. What is safe and secure about you?
Just everything. God within me. God within me is very safe.
I'm so
and
sorry.
secure.
I'm kind of calling bullshit out on your theories.
No.
At least for me.
Okay, of course for you.
Okay.
You're with me. We're unicorns. This is why we run the fucking
But
show.
here's what I would say. I also saw. No, I got to finish
Were
this.
you attracted to me?
Yes.
Are you still attracted to me?
Yeah.
A lot or a little?
Depends on the day.
Oh my God, why are you pausing right now?
Why?
It should be a lot all the fucking
Sometimes
time.
the attraction factor is higher.
When is
Sometimes
it
it's
higher?
slower.
Tell me when is it higher?
It's higher when like we've been hanging out more on vacation. I feel like we're just in like a good space. Like if we're in a good space and we've spent like good connective time together, you'll walk into a room, ask any woman, when you're connected to your man and he walks in the room, he physically looks cuter. You're like, you're cute. If we're not connected.
Is that a sexual thought you have? Or
yeah,
is it more like an emotional heart
No,
feeling?
you literally like you can walk into a room like, ooh, like you get like kind of the butterflies.
Like
You're
your nipples
ooh.
get hard?
Hun,
I don't know. What is? I'm not a woman.
it
I
could
don't
be
know.
sexual, but it's more just like, ooh, he's my man.
Okay.
You know, it could be sexual. Like you're like excited to see him. You're like, if this happens tonight, that's great too.
Did you have the thought like, I hope he just takes me now?
Every girl has that thought.
You have that thought?
Yeah.
Like take me now?
Every girl wants to be taken at some level.
Like you want your clothes just ripped off right then?
But it can't be weird. You got to get away. You can't like slap her ass and then be like, take your clothes off. Like guys could never really. I think guys couldn't do that. Women have this fantasy in their mind of wanting to be taken, but the reality is, if their man tried to come up and take him, I'd be like, why are you taking my shirt off? This is so
Yeah,
weird.
That's why you watch 50 Shades of Grey.
So
They
we
say that-
fantasize about it, but if you actually were like, come here, I'd be like, whoa, it's like, what are we doing? Are we?
Do you know there's tons of studies have been done about women on this that one of the top 3 or 4 fantasies for women sexually is being raped.
Ew.
But it's not about being raped. It's about complete submission. It's like the aggressive nature of it. I'm not saying that it's
That's not rape.
appropriate or not.
That's kind of a heavy word.
This is what
Let's
they
just
said.
be
It was literally
submission is probably a better
and
word.
the same polling
Submitted?
company that did this, they also surveyed women about if you could only choose to have a bear or a man in the woods, who would you choose?
A
And they said a
bear?
bear. I was like, okay.
That's not real. Like a bear?
Retarded. Yeah, they said a bear.
No.
I'd rather be with a bear than a man.
Okay. That's kind of
Anyways,
weird.
you and I are at a different level. We're doing things differently. So I'm not addressing this directly here.
Well,
I'm
I
addressing the constant. How could there be this much sexual chaos if women were actually attracted to the man they're with?
But I also think too, it's all about like what you value. So if you're like, hey, I dated guys that I was attracted to and it didn't really go anywhere, then these women might default into, screw it, I'd rather just be taken care of. If this guy was originally attraction was there and now all of a sudden it's not there anymore and he didn't provide for me, then I'll just go for safety and security. They don't consider that you can have both, but to keep that connection and attraction, it's work. It's work on both sides, whether you're the victim or the villain, or the not the victim, whether like you're the hero or the villain or whatever. It's like you still play a role. I always say like you're still 50% part of the relationship. So if you allowed yourself to be emotionally abused, whatever it is, like you're still a part of that relationship, and you have to take action and accountability to make this relationship work, to keep that chemistry, to keep that attraction alive. So I think that's where women are like, oh, he turned into an asshole. And it's like, yeah, you didn't keep your chemistry alive, so you went with what was more dependable.
Do you think if a woman doesn't, if she shuts down and doesn't put out consistently in marriage sexually, do you think that's a divorceable event? Should a man be able to divorce his wife because she doesn't have sex with him?
Here's what I will tell women: you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that, because I believe that men need more sex than women. Now, maybe not all, but I would say like 90% of men, they need more sex more than women. And so if that's the case, I know you react different to me when we're having frequent sex. You're sweeter. You notice me more. You help with the kids. You help with the dishes. Like so I tell women all the time, I'm like, withholding is not in your benefit. I'm like, because you naturally do these things without me having to ask if you're getting more frequent sex.
Yeah.
So for me, I understand that. And so when I find women that are, in this resentful space, I'm like, you're not doing yourself any favors. So either fix your relationship or get out. And that's where I had gotten to with us, is I was like, we were in therapy years ago, and I was like, God, he thinks I don't want connection. He thinks I don't want good sex. He thinks I don't want, I'm like, I want this. But guess what? I also want safety and security. I want to be taken care of. Like, that's part of it. But I prioritize connection versus the safety and security. I still expect it and want it. But to me, I realize, like, for me, like, my soul was dying if I didn't have that connection. You could buy me the diamonds and the cars and this and that, but at some point that's hollow. So although I want safety and security, that's not like the first thing I look for. I also am a fairly confident woman to know that I could provide enough for myself to have a good life. So in a way, I think it's important for women to understand that you have to kind of create your own safety and security, and you shouldn't fully depend on a man to do that for you. Yes, do I love that you take care of our family? Amazing. It allows me to be a mom, be more feminine, not have to stress about it. I'm more myself when I'm not in that stressful mode of like, I've got to protect and provide for the family. I think that is the man's responsibility. But in the end, it's like women that just go marry for money, essentially, they're losing out on life. They're hollow. And like I said, I've experienced it myself when we've been disconnected. And I was like, you can fucking take all the cars and the house and the diamonds. I don't care. Like, I literally don't care. And when you can own that piece, then you realize that you can create whatever you want.
That's solid.
Thanks.
Solid. I got one last question for you to end this episode.
You didn't even answer my question.
What was your question?
I was like, where do you see man in the arena?
We've been talking about it the whole time. What are you talking about?
Where's your question?
So, today's generation thinks it has two different thoughts about paying.
What?
About paying for shit.
Okay, paying for shit. Oh, I know. What in the hell?
But let me give you the question.
Okay.
So, should a man pay for dinner and dates, etc.? Like, should a man pay for this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about teenagers. I'm talking about established older people, 20s, 30s, 40s, dating, going, living, etc. Like, should the man, is it his responsibility to pay for dates and pay for the shit that they're doing?
I don't know if it's his responsibility, but I think it's very attractive. If I were single in my 20s, 30s, whatever, and a man asked me out.
If you were single now, I died, got shot.
Sure, but if you're asking me out, if you're inviting me somewhere, then I'm assuming that you're going to pay. It's like for my kids, I'm like, hey, invite your friend bowling. I'm not like, did you bring your money for bowling? No, I invited you as my guest. Of course I'm going to pay. So it's less about like paying 50-50. And for me, it's like if a man invites you to dinner, isn't he invited you? Like, say you go to like
if you invited him to dinner, would you pay?
So if I invited him,
Like, let's imagine I
wouldn't do.
I got hit by a truck today, and you're on a date like 6 months from
If
now.
I invited a guy, if I invited a hot
Yeah.
dude to dinner and he didn't pay, I'd be like, oh, he's not interested in me. No problem.
Okay, got it. So there is, no matter what the game is, there is a piece of you that wants the man to pay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Do you, on the flip side of this, if that's the understanding, this was a serious conversation I was having with a group of men and women, and I was like, interesting perspectives around the vibe here. So most of the women had the same response, which is they determined, yes, dude should pay. Mm-hmm. And then the flip question was asked, which was interesting, and I was like, oh, that's a good question. Under that premise, does a man have the right then, in a dating situation, to ask for sex?
How about like a kiss first? I mean, like one dinner doesn't equal sex.
Well, I'm just saying, if the obligation is men
date.
should pay, then does the obligation go the other way that the woman should play?
I think
is this paid to play? Is this basically
I think it does,
prostitution?
but like here's the thing. Like you say you go out with a guy and he buys you dinner and you have a good time and you connect. You're like, cool. Like I'm attracted to you. We're gonna make out. We're gonna kiss. Whatever. Say you're on like your third or fourth date and he keeps showing up. These dates are nice. You're feeling seen and heard. Sure. Then the woman's naturally gonna want to kind of pursue that with the guy. So it's, if they're not, and it's kind of like a 50-50 thing, and they're like, every time you go to dinner with this hot guy and he's like, all right, you got your card. At least for me, I'd be like, this is going nowhere. We're just friends. He's putting me in the friend zone. It's unattractive that he's not paying. And even if he's a hot piece of ass, I don't want it that bad. See you later.
If you're bored on a weekend, you might.
I mean, he'd have to like, that's not dating then. That's just a hookup.
Oh,
like if I'm single, which I'm not, and I'm into
only if
that.
I get hit by a truck or somebody murders me when I'm going someplace. That ain't gonna happen.
Listen, there's been a lot of girls that get divorced and they're like, oh, I went on my bender. And I'm
Everybody
like, good for
that gets
you.
divorced
Yeah,
in
like
their
good for
40s
you.
goes on a
So I'm not
bender.
gonna say that like wouldn't be the case, but you asked about like dating and taking someone who should pay.
Oh, there's the bender, and then
there's the
dating.
bender. You're like, nobody's going anywhere for dinner. We're meeting up at 11:30 and we've got a focused job to do. So, like, call it what it is. Like, you're like,
It's good to know what would happen if I
you
died.
and girls make up nicknames for those guys. I'd be
happy
like,
for
my
you.
trainer. I'd be like, how's 12-pack? Was 12-pack good? She's like, oh, you have no idea. Like, I'm not
don't
I'm not
worry.
like asking like.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, I'm not like, how's Jeremy? Did you have a wonderful time? I'm like, how was it? Was it good? How were his abs?
Listen, I got a few relationships are close. I'm like, we just have nicknames for his situations: Squirter, Mirror
Oh
Girl,
Jesus!
Triple Taco.
I don't. Too far.
Oh, well, okay. So this show was not too far. It was perfect. And it brings up like all these fundamental, interesting dynamics that go on in relationship. And the coolest thing I think about our relationship is the fact that we have literally raised each other. Meaning we have gone through every gamut of the game, from 20s to 30s. Now you're just in your 40s, being hot, owning that you're in your 40s, finally. 42. Finally. Solid young hot in her 40s.
All right.
Well, forever you were like not accepting that you were in your 40s. You're gorgeous. You should be like, yeah, I'm hot
I think as I
I'm
got older, I
42.
actually started taking better care of myself. So like and when I was like in the thick of things with like salon world, I just didn't take care of myself. I think I look better now. Like
You're the best you've ever looked.
Like I'm more fit. Like
best you've ever looked.
had lots of fillers and Botox have really
More
come
powerful
around.
than you've ever been. Hotter than you've ever been.
I think that I feel more certain in myself too.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that like, I don't know. If I don't mind saying I'm 42 because I feel like I can pass for 28. So.
You look hot. And if
maybe
you want,
not 28, but like 35 I'm going to go with maybe.
35. If you want to pierce your nipples, I'm not against it.
Okay. Thanks, Jen. I love you.
Thank you, Jen. All right, Liz, we're going to wrap this show up. So here's the deal. Today's topic was all over the place for you, and we're hoping that it has a fun conversation. We were actually sitting at a restaurant at the what the fuck's it called here? Right by our house? Belmont?
Yeah, something.
The Diplomat.
We
were at the Diplomat, and
So
we had a couple
close.
from Mississippi come up to us, a SWAT police officer and his wife, and they were huge fans of the show, and we got to talk to them at the hotel. This happens is actually we go everywhere now, where we're meeting couples who are fans of the show, and one of the things they said the most about it was, we love your show because you guys just continue to keep it so real, because that's how real life is. And what we really want from this show is you to find permission to have open dialogue with your spouse, to be able to talk about anything and everything from dark fantasies to light fantasies to pains to fears to doubts to worries to concerns, but that there's a foundation of truth in your relationship. So the best way you can help us out with this show is share it up with your friends. So if you got people who you know need to hear this conversation, and it's more about the energy of openness. Like most couples we're around cannot talk this open alone, let alone live on a podcast. And we do it for a reason, which is to give you permission to start doing the same thing at home behind closed doors when it's just you two having a conversation going on a date night. So thank you for doing that. On top of this, Danielle has something she'd like to say.
I do?
I don't know. You looked at me like you had something to say. You have something
Oh,
to say?
no, I was just watching you do your
Danielle's
thing.
hot
Good
as
job.
shit, and she has a new book coming out called Big Money
Oh, I
Stylist.
have 2 books coming out, but...
2. You have a second one?
God is my ghostwriter. That's more of like
that's right.
that's like a memoir of like basically my life from like being raised the way we were over, like it's my story, but it's kind of talking about overcoming limiting beliefs and becoming like the best version of me essentially, but still ongoing process. So it's kind of like a memoir teaching thing. And then I have one called Big Money Stylist, which is a business book for artists or hairstylists. And that one will come out next month. Super excited about both. Totally
You go
different.
in studio record audiobook this week.
Yep, I do.
Let's go. All right. So listen, Wake Up Warrior is the background of all of this, as well as the Man Arena Tour. Next Man Arena Tour event's coming up in May. You can learn more about, September of 2025. Be at the Miami Arena. You can learn more about it by going manandarenatour.com. Also, pick up a free copy of Warrior Book. We have right around 75 to 100 of these books go out every single day to men all over the world who are coming to learn how to live the Warrior's way. It's a great place to start. It's a very simple place to start. I'd love to give you that book for free. Go to warriorbook.com. And that, my friends, wraps up another up and down roller coaster and circus olay of the Date Your Wife podcast.